this is a very important topic for a lot of our jurisdictions, both in Canada and the United States, as we sort of come out of the crisis and try to figure out how we put our voters back to work and create economic growth in our various regions. I was here yesterday and I listened to some of the presentations and also this morning, and I was amazed at how much research has been done on the topic, comprehensive research, which really validates offshore wind as an energy source of the future, and also as a real economic development opportunity for all of our jurisdictions. And not to mention the technology has really advanced. We've seen technology advance from 1.5 megawatt turbines to 5 megawatt turbines, and which is really quite incredible when you think of it's only been in the last decade where we've had those advancements. So I think creating more efficiency, the fact that we have larger turbines means less turbines in the water, which I think reduces the environmental footprint of wind farms out in the ocean, also in the Great Lakes. So in terms of Ontario, in 2009 we implemented the legislated actually the Green Energy and Green Economy Act, and what that did is really outline sort of three legs to the stool, and the first one was energy conservation, energy efficiency, and also renewable energy generation. And I'll focus more on the renewable energy generation. And what it did is it laid the groundwork for taking coal-fired power generation offline by 2014 and supplementing a lot of that coal-fired power generation with combined cycle natural gas power plants and also renewable energy, mostly solar PV, offshore and onshore wind. One of the important things we did was, when you look at these industries, these are new and evolving industries and quite capital intensive. And it's really important for, like I mentioned before, to have regulatory uncertainty, but it's also important to provide incentives for these companies to really create new industries. You go back in history and look at industrial policy, government has always been there to help support new and evolving industries, and in this case, it's no different. So what we did is we really identified what the critical internal rates of return were going to be for, and I'll focus on the onshore and the offshore, for companies to really recover their cost basis and make a rate of return that we thought was competitive enough in the marketplace. And what we did is we came up with a pricing mechanism for onshore, it was 13 cents a kilowatt, and for offshore, it was 19 cents a kilowatt. And what that provided was a 20-year guarantee contract pricing for the developer, and it provided a rate of return on an unlevered basis, in other words, no debt, pure equity, of between 9 to 10%, and then if you had a levered rate of return, which a lot of the financing mechanisms do, provided a roughly 14 to 16% rate of return. And if you look at the marketplace today, those are quite good rates of return. Why is that important? It's important because as we go through this process and we sign up in the U.S. marketplace, you sign up PPAs, and each PPA is different in each jurisdiction, and pricing as we've seen can go from 9 cents to 25 cents in presentations yesterday. We wanted to remove that price volatility out of the marketplace and provide one pricing mechanism. We thought a guaranteed contract price over a longer period of time provided certainty for both the developers and also for the supply chain. There was some talk. I'll get to the real important stuff on the offshore side. We all recognize that offshore wind farm development has an environmental impact. Has some environmental benefits, but has an environmental impact that we're all quite aware of. It's a new industry. We look at Denmark's been successful in deploying a lot of the wind farms. Hasn't happened in North America yet. There's a lot of sensitivities around the environmental side. We recognize that back in the first FIT contract out of the feed-in tariff program was issued, 250 megawatt offshore wind farm in Lake Erie, and we recognize that there were still more environmental assessments that needed to be done in order for the wind farm to be deployed, and that was the reason for the moratorium. Now, a moratorium is not a ban. A moratorium is a sort of stay over a period of time to review the environmental impacts that the offshore wind farm will have in that region. So the fact that we have a moratorium on offshore wind doesn't mean that we're not keen on the industry. It doesn't mean we're not supportive of it. It doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It just means that we need to do more work in that space.